Ladies and gentlemen, the legendary commander swap event is finally live here in Rise of Kingdoms, and the feedback from the community so far has been overwhelmingly positive. Now, as you can see on the screen here, I did two full swaps of legendary commanders, but in this video I'm going to give you guys a couple of tips on how you can make two very effective swaps to get your hands on expertise commanders for way fewer tickets than I spent to do mine. And then we're actually going to take a look inside the account of a player who quit Rise of Kingdoms many months ago when the armament system first came out, and we're going to be giving them advice on how they can come back into the game by utilizing some tips I'm going to give you guys for the legendary commander swap event. And that returning player is none other than MrSneakyy. You may recognize him from the Call of Dragons community, or you might recognize him because we worked together more recently on AOEM, and he reached out to me and said, hey Omni, this new commander swap event looks like a great opportunity to maybe jump back into Rise of Kingdoms, so can you give me some tips on my account as somebody who quit the game a long time ago? So we're going to jump into that a little bit later, and of course I will link MrSneakyy's YouTube channel in the description below if you want to go ahead and check him out. But first, what's going on, guys? Cheers. Now, as you guys know, I am a partnered creator with Rise of Kingdoms, which means they support a few videos on the channel every single month, just like this one. But the most important support comes from you guys dropping a thumbs up on the video. It really helps out the channel a ton, and consider subscribing if you're new around here. Okay, now the first thing I'm going to go over here is the swaps that I made on my account. The first thing that I did was I swapped my expertise Charles Martel for, of course, King Arthur, the newest legendary cavalry commander, and all of the early test results that we're seeing so far show that he is an absolute giga chad as secondary behind Huo or behind Nevsky. I think a lot of people are going to be using him behind Huo for a while now, but he is looking super strong, and I had enough sculptures of my Martel to actually go in and expertise him again for free without doing anything. So really all I did was lose some levels and some stars on my Charles Martel, and I didn't really lose them. I just transferred over to my King Arthur, and honestly I don't think I'm going to use Charles Martel as a primary in like any scenario for this foreseeable future, so I just left him at level 10 and got his expertise for support skills or bastions or whatever, and I can still use him as a secondary if I need to. So very exciting swap there for me. The second swap was actually my Cao Cao for Philip. Now the reason that I went for Philip is for really two reasons. First of all, I think there's a lot of hype around Philip right now for infantry mains, and I technically am still an infantry main player, even though I run the same number of calves as I do infantry. My gear is a bit better on infantry, my armaments are a bit better on infantry, and a lot of infantry players are saying that Philip might be a good commander to get your hands on. Now I've crunched the numbers about 4 times now, and I can't see how he would fit into a 2 infantry lineup, but well, 1, I could be wrong, I'll check in my next KVK, and 2, if I'm ever going to run 3 armies of a single troop type, it's going to be infantry, because I do kind of have a third set of gear. Now of course this is laughably bad compared to the rest of my gear for infantry, but it's at least still usable, and it's at least still something, whereas I literally do not have a second set of archer gear, and I don't have a third set of cavalry gear. So I figured, okay, if I ever run 3 of one troop type, it will be infantry, in which case I'll probably want to use Philip. The second thing with Philip is that he is kind of a jack of all trades, in that even if I can't find a use for him in the near future with infantry, he can literally be paired with anything, and I might be able to find a use for him in the future with some other troop type. He literally gives stats for everything. He's buffing nearby commanders, he gives all damage, like, and if I really wanted to, I could put him with my Trajan and do like a full leadership march. So I felt that Philip was the most versatile of the other commanders I could choose from. He had the most synergy with my account right now as well, and on top of that, I don't really have anything else that I could even get, right? I mean, like, I could have got 1 ranged commander because I already got King Arthur, but that wouldn't really make sense. You would really need a full pair of commanders to make like the best use out of it, and even still I'd have to build a gear set, which isn't the worst thing in the world. But the other thing I was thinking was, okay, well maybe I just get my hands on Ashurbanipal, because running 2 archer marches is definitely something that I'm strongly considering. But the problem with getting Ashurbanipal for me is that, again, I don't have a second set of archer gear, and so by the time that I build a second set of archer gear that might be semi-viable viable in the open field, we might have another set of archer commanders coming to the game, in which case I might be benching Ashurbanipal anyway, right? So that was kind of my dilemma. If you guys missed my live stream last night where I did these swaps, we were live on Twitch when this commander swap event came out. If you missed that stream, that means you either don't follow me on Twitch or you're not in my Discord, and both of those things are going to be in the description below. Definitely go ahead and drop a follow over on Twitch and join my Discord, so that way you get notified whenever I post a video or whenever I go live randomly on Twitch. It was a lot of fun to do that stream, so if you don't want to miss another stream in the future, go ahead and follow over there. But that is the thought process behind my personal swaps for my account. Let me know in the comment section below, what commanders did you guys swap for, or have you been waiting to do your swaps for this video? Because there's actually some very important tips that I'm going to share with you guys, and that is the requirements for certain swap levels. So this document right here is extremely important, especially if you are a free-to-play player, because this gives you some crucial information as to how you can do 2 swaps 100% free, and it only costs you gems and also maybe a couple of legendary commander sculptures and an old commander that you don't really care about. Okay, so as you can see from the first 2 columns here, if you swap a fully expertise commander, so like for my instance I used Martel and Cao Cao, if you take those expertise commanders and you swap them either for a 1000 commander, which is just a summoned commander, a commander you just got, like my King Arthur, it's going to cost 120. Even if you unlock the first 3 skills, it still costs 120. Even if you put skills in that first skill and get them to 4110, it's still 120. Okay, so you don't want to be swapping one of these. This is like the most expensive thing for the same price as just an unlocked commander. Okay, this strategy is great for players who have some gems to spend. They also are okay with buying the bundle here. If you want to do the 120 ticket swap twice, then you're going to need to buy the entire bundle 10 times. That's the route that I went on my stream. I did not need to do that, but it's something that I wanted to do for the content. But there's a couple of ways that you can save some tickets here. First of all, if you have a newly unlocked commander and you want to swap them for a 5551, then you can do so for only 72 tickets, which is a great deal. This is a great deal, but it's actually not the best deal that you can get. There are 2 deals here that are extremely good value, and that would be the fully expertise commander swap for a 1111 commander. This is a commander where you simply get 4 stars on them and you unlock all of their skills, and that's it. So for example, my Amenatore, she's level 10, 4 stars, all of her skills are unlocked. This costed me 0 legendary commander sculptures. All that this costed me was enough experience to get her to level 10, and it costed me enough stars to get her to 4 stars, which is extremely cheap. I showed this off last night with my Charles Martel because I reset him and I wanted to get his skills back. And what you do is you bring him to level 10, which is extremely cheap, right? As you can see here, I use 1 level 7 Tomb of Knowledge, and then I finish it off with some level 2s and some level 1s, and that's it. Then we come in here and we add a single star. Okay, add 1 star at a time. You develop that. I know my head's blocking this, but this is a live stream from last night, so you're not gonna be able to see it anyway. But you add 1 star at a time because you want your luck to be really low. Okay, you bring it all the way up until 80%. Hopefully you don't get a crit here. Once you get it to this point, you actually remove the single star and you put in 4 of these bundle legendary stars and 2 of these blessed stars, and that'll show your luck at 60%, and you'll see that it will guarantee finish this star, and then get 44% up on the last star. But if you crit here and you get lucky, which you have a 60% chance of this happening, then you will actually crit and this will unlock all 4 stars. Okay, so it's extremely cheap to get your commander to 4 stars, level 10. That's all you need here, and to swap them with a fully expertise commander is 72 tickets. Okay, now that's 7,200 gems, but you're getting a fully expertise commander effectively for 7,200 gems. That's insane value. Now, the best part about this is how cheap it is. The downside is that you only get 120 tickets from gems alone, right? Which means you can't do this twice, because 72 times 2 is 144. You're unable to do that 100% free to play. So what is the strategy here for free to play players? Well, I would recommend doing this option at least once, as long as you have enough gems to do so. But your second best option, in my opinion, is the 5-1-1-1 commander swap for a fully expertise commander. So in the same way that I just showed you, you're going to get your commander to 1-1-1-1, and then you're going to come into your game, and in the skills tab, you're going to use the skill lock feature. You're going to go ahead and lock this first skill. Boom, there you go. And then you're going to put 50 sculptures into this commander to get this skill to 5. Okay, so again, this will cost you 50 universal legendary commander sculptures, unfortunately, which is expensive. But think of it this way: you're converting 50 legendary commander sculptures and exchanging a commander that you do not care about, ideally, in my case it was Martel and Cao Cao, for 50 sculptures. Okay, and 36 tickets, that's 3,600 gems. You're able to get another fully expertise commander. Okay, so that is the best strategy I think that you can go with. Now, if you're low on gems but you have tons of extra sculptures, what you could do is bring a commander to 5-5-1-1, which is 190 legendary commander sculptures, and then swap them out for an expertise commander for only 12 tickets. So that's 1,200 gems. That's great value, except it's very expensive for the sculptures. So I don't really know if I would recommend that, but it is a route you could go if, again, you have a ton of sculptures left over. My recommendation, if you're a free-to-play player, is to go ahead and do both of these options. Okay, do the 72 ticket option, then do the 36 ticket option, and that's going to be a total of 108 tickets. So that is 10,800 gems, which is cheaper than a full swap right here, which is crazy. And you can do both swaps and get 2 expertise commanders in exchange for 2 commanders that you do not care about. That would be the best strategy. The other thing you could do is, like I said, maybe do the 36 ticket swap twice if you're low on gems and you've got the sculptures to spare, or if you're a low spender, then you can go ahead and do the 72 ticket swap twice. I think that would be the best option. It would be 144 tickets. You get the 120 tickets with your gems, and then you just need 24 more tickets from the bundle, which is $10. Okay, the bundle is $5 for 12 tickets, so you get 24 tickets from 2 bundle purchases, which is $10. So 12,000 gems plus $10, and you're able to do this swap twice. I think that is the best low spender value you could possibly do. It's, I mean, truthfully, like, even medium spenders should probably consider that. It's just a no-brainer, right? It's a no-brainer. If you're a mega whale like me and you don't care, you just do this twice. It's $50 plus 1,200 tickets, and then you're Gucci, you're good to go. But again, want to drive this home, free-to-play players, you're going to get 2 swaps, and you're going to do it these center 2 ways. That is probably the best strategy for you. And if I could just throw a little bit of shade, okay? If I could just throw a little bit of shade here, I made a thumbnail a few weeks ago saying that even if this event costed 50,000 gems, it would still be good value. And here we see 50 sculptures and 36 tickets. I mean, 50 sculptures is effectively 50,000 gems, because typically you would value one sculpture at 1,000 gems if you're getting them from events and things like that, and 3,600. So really, players are looking at this and saying, wow, that's great value. Really, it's 53,000 gems, right? Which is even more than I said would be good value. And yet for some reason, when you put it like this, people are eating it up. So hey, all I'm saying is I was right. I'm just gonna say I was right. Okay, I was right. You guys said it was too expensive, and yet you turn around and you actually agree with me. You just don't realize that you agree with me when you do the math. But anyway, I'm just trolling. I know that there's ways to get sculptures for free without spending gems. I know that. Anyway, so I just had to throw that in there. Okay, technically this swap right here is over 50,000 gems, so I was right. It's still good value. You're still gonna do it. Everyone knows it. You know it. I know it. Everyone knows it. Okay, all right, enough throwing shade. I'm just being annoying. Anyway, so that's my recommendation for free-to-play players, and I've also shared with you guys what I swapped for and why. Next, let's take a look at the account of MrSneakyy, because he quit the game when they implemented armaments, because around that time they were releasing Call of Dragons and he wanted to see what Call of Dragons was all about. He ended up preferring Call of Dragons when it came out, but this swap event is very, very popular for returning players. This is like, if you are considering coming back to the game, this is the way to do it. Okay, this is the time to do it. It's the best way to do it. if you do return to Rise of Kingdoms as a result of this swap event, make sure to use my invite code, because it's going to get you some free goodies when you come back to the game, and it's going to get me some free gems. It costs you nothing. You just copy this invite code right here, and bada bing bada boom, when you return to the game, you're going to get some free stuff. So go ahead and use my invite code if you are returning to Rise of Kingdoms. But let's take a look at MrSneakyy's account. As you can see, he just logged in. He has the returning governor events over here. He has an update he's got to do, and he's got a full hospital. You can see that he's been zeroed at some point. He's 54 million. I don't know what his highest power ever was, but he's got 16,000 gems, and he's got a lot to do. Basically, he's got a lot to do. Now he jumps into his commander tab, and right off the bat, I asked MrSneakyy, I said, if you come back to Rise of Kingdoms, will you be spending money? Because that is going to play a big part in what he should be doing when he comes back. He said that he wasn't sure, but he would most likely return as free to play and see how things go, which I think is the most common route people will take, right? I think you'll come back to the game, you'll be free to play for a while, and if you enjoy it, maybe you'll spend a little bit later down the line. Since that's the case, what I'm going to recommend MrSneakyy do is do not summon Chook and do not summon Bird. First of all, these are some of the worst commanders in the game these days, so you're not going to use them straight up. Like, you're just not going to use them anyway, so it doesn't matter. But also, as soon as you summon one of these commanders, you're going to get a Writer of History bundle to show up, which it's a pop-up bundle, and it costs $5, and you get 10 legendary commander sculptures. I would know, I bought it twice last night, once for King Arthur and the other for John Hunyadi. I got him from the new event that allows you to get the commanders that you do not have. Unfortunately for me, there was literally nothing that I could get for 100 currency. Everything else requires a certain number of commanders to unlock first, right? Which is a bummer. After you spend that first 100, by the way, it goes up to 500, so it becomes very expensive very quickly. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to unlock these. I mean, I'll probably be able to get my hands on Lapu Lapu, which is exciting. I really want to get my hands on CY, but I don't know if it's going to be possible, so we'll see. But anyway, I got the Writer of History bundle twice last night because it's just that good of value. And so I think it's very important that if you have commanders to summon, don't summon them until you're ready to buy that bundle, if ever. If you know you're never going to spend money ever, then I guess summon them, but it doesn't seem worth it to me. You might as well just leave them there because these aren't very good. So anyway, let me move my head over here so you can see his commander setup he's got going on here. So he's Expertise YSG Minamoto Saladin Genghis Khan. Whew. My boy has Genghis Khan, literally fully expertise. So that's crazy. We see some gear on the Cao Cao, probably for peacekeeping. What do we have our Richard at? I'm curious to see what Richard's at. Oh man, his Cao Cao's so close. It's so close. I almost like want to swap this, but we'll see. Richard is 5511. That's a great stopping place. You don't need to do anything with Richard. He's Gucci there, which is nice. Minamoto's got some gear on him as well, but still all blue and greens. Charles Martel is 5552. So unfortunate skill distribution on the back end here, because we would much rather have this, but it is what it is. It's no big deal. Here we have a Expertise Saladin with some legendary gear on it. So this is a prime contender for swapping. I know Saladin is beloved, and there's a soft place in my heart for Saladin. To be honest with you, I love Saladin in Rise of Kingdoms. He is incredible. His design is awesome. From a historical perspective, he's awesome, but unfortunately he just doesn't live up to the hype anymore. And especially because this last skill, you don't need it at all in open field fighting. So not only does he not really age well, his museum relic isn't insane, and I mean, I think this is a prime swap candidate. But an even bigger swap candidate, in my opinion, is the old Genghis Khan over here. My boy GK. This dude is super mid. In fact, if you saw my video where I talk about some of the worst legendary commanders in Rise of Kingdoms, Genghis Khan is like near the top of that list, which is super sad because he's a season 2 commander. He's not even a gold key commander, right? And even still, I think he's one of the worst commanders in the game. So Genghis Khan is absolutely a commander swap that I think he should be making. But let's see what the rest of his account has. That way we kind of get an idea as to what he was working with when he quit the game. Remember, Armaments came out a while ago, like 2 years, is that like 2 or 3 years ago? Like it's been a long time, right? So it's been a while since he's played the game. Lots of commanders have come out since then. William 5551, solid investment, to be honest with you. This is a commander that is, I mean, literally was, in my opinion, pushed out of open field meta today, right? Like he literally just got pushed out of open field meta today, but I think he's still meta adjacent. I think you can still use William with good effect. He's just not part of the two best cavalry pairs in the game anymore, but like he's close, right? He's close. Let's see the Trajan. What's the Trajan at? 5511. Okay, that's not really very usable anymore, to be honest with you. We have an expertise Zhang Yu, which is crazy. Back when he played, this probably slapped in the open field. Remember, this was before armaments, right? And he's got really solid gear on this dude, but yeah, it's no longer the case. Still usable in the field, but not crazy. Here we have Honda expertise. Wild, right? Wild expertise. Again, back when he did this was probably the play. As you'll notice, he has Nevsky expertise as well, and his strategy was running 3 cavalry armies in the open field. And if he was doing that back then that means he was probably running Nevsky with William, and then Zhang Yu with either Honda or Saladin, and then I don't know who else he was running, but you can see Nevsky actually has a legendary accessory over here. So okay, so we've got Nevsky, he's in a good spot. What do we have our CPO at? Please tell me it's 5551. Oh no, don't scroll past CPO. Wait, what's your CPO at? Yo, MrSneakyy, scroll back, buddy. Okay, I just remembered that I reviewed his account a long time ago and his CPO was 5511. I don't think he's played the game since then, so I assume his CPO prime is still 5511. That's the assumption that I'm going to be making moving forward here. What else does he have on the account? Pretty much nothing. I'm curious what his Mehmet is, because that might make a difference, but he's got Go On You unlocked, which is interesting. I don't think that the rest of this really matters. Okay, I just went back and checked the old video again. His Mehmet is 5512 and his Alexander the Great is like 5511 or something like that. All right, so okay, so that's the status of his commanders. Really no usable archers besides the YSG, right? And he's fully expertise. He also shared with me his inventory. He's got some resources here, which MrSneakyy, if you're watching, they actually implemented a statistics button here. It will just literally show you all the resources that you have, which is really, really nice. Here we see some speed ups, decent amount of universal speed ups. That's not too bad. Here we've got the boost screen. Not many boosts here, to be honest with you. Okay, but definitely usable. Here we have the equipment tab, and he's got some random chests here. A decent number. Well, I mean, he's got a decent number of legendary chests, but other than that, I don't really know. These look like the Shadow Legion blueprint or chest or whatever. You should open those for sure, because that's going to get you some good stuff. But besides that, a little bit low on materials as well. Armaments, none of them. Okay, and this is what I was saying before. He literally quit when this came out, so that's that. And then as far as everything else goes in here, he does have some pages to migrate if you wanted to. He's got some keys, but nothing crazy. Decent amount of AP to use, to be honest. He can definitely, oh my god, 91 of these. He can definitely get to grinding if you really wanted to. He has 2 skill resets, which is very, very nice. This is going to be coming in handy if he wants to get a cheap investment later down the line. And then he has 21 universal, so very small amount of legendary commander sculptures to work with here. Luckily for him, he has 16,000 gems, which is enough to get the 120 swap tickets, which is very, very nice. So that is the best thing that he has going for him right now. Next, he sent me some screenshots of the actual gear sets that are here. Now, he does have iconic upgrades. Does that mean, did iconics come out? I guess iconic 1 upgrades did come out before armaments. It wasn't, the tier system came out after armaments for sure, but interesting. It's funny how in my brain that doesn't make any sense, but regardless, he has decent set here, to be honest with you. The blue helmet with the talent is fine. Windswept boots with the talent is definitely an area of opportunity that he can work on, but he's got Ash of the Dawn, he's got the Navarre's Control here, set piece chest, we've got the talented Heart of the Saint, which is nice. We have no talent on the accessories, but that's okay. That's probably the last thing to work on. Here we've got a talented accessory here. This looks like it's his best set. So we have iconic crystals in everything down the center. We have legendary gloves over here. That's the set piece gloves, which is that, yeah, that's the armband of the Hellish Wasteland. So that piece is not really best in slot, so I mean, I guess he already has it, so you might as well use it, right? There's no point in dismantling a legendary, but don't craft any more of these. And then this is his 3rd set. So remember what I was saying, he's running 3 cavalry armies, right? So it looks like Saladin was primary, Zhang Yu was primary, Nevsky was primary. I don't know who he paired with who, but he probably had William hopefully behind his Nevsky. That would make the most sense, or maybe it was behind Zhang Yu back then. I have no idea. But here we see mostly a purple set here, but we do have the Horn of Fury on this dude, which is a very good pickup. I'm glad he has at least one very powerful legendary accessory. We don't even have a talent on the Dark Lord's Blessing or whatever this is called. I think that's what that's called. Windswept helmet. Okay, so I mean, all in all, not horrible for like a third set. And then we have his only infantry set here, which isn't terrible. I mean, the legs are fine, right? We've got the Korok's Humility with the talent, the blue shield with the talent's fine. We actually have a talent. He must have got lucky here, unless he really went for it, but we have a talent on the chest piece, which is really quite nice. And then we've got the Scarlet Hounds for the boots, and we've got the Windswept helmet and gloves for the march speed here. Not terrible. Okay, not terrible. But we have no archer gear. He did not want to go in on archers at all. Back then, a few years ago when he quit, he wanted to go all in on calves and just target archer players, which is funny because that's kind of like what people do. I mean, we still target the archers, it's just we don't go all in on calves. So he had the right strategy in mind, but at this point in 2025, you want to have at least one set of commanders for each troop type, right? That's kind of just like, that's the meta. So that being said, however, it doesn't appear to be the case that he has any real sort of gear for his archers, right? So while it might make sense to say, okay, well, he's got 16,000 gems, you know, using the tips that I shared earlier, he could ideally make a swap for Zhuge Liang with Herman once he unlocks them and have a great archer pairing. The problem with that strategy is that he has no gear for it and he has no armaments for it. So what good would that do him, right? That doesn't make any sense to me. So what I'm going to recommend that MrSneakyy do for his account if he returns to Rise of Kingdoms, okay, now he is a tier 5 player already, so he's got all that, he's good to go with tech and everything. Of course, like I mentioned before, he's going to want to do the 72 ticket swap and the 36 ticket swap, especially because he only has 21 legendary commander sculptures, right? So he actually may even not be able to do this, because if he has less than a 5111, like a 4111 for example, it's going to cost 72. So he either has to do this swap and then buy the rest of the tickets and the bundles, the $10 worth of bundles for the 72 to do this twice, right? Which he could do, but remember, he wants to stay free to play. So if that's the case, then here's what he can do. Okay, first of all, I think King Arthur is the most slam dunk pairing for him. He already has an expertise Nevsky, and I think early test results are showing that the sim results were actually very accurate, and it seems like most players are going to be doing Huo with King Arthur. That seems to be the play right now until we see more combo commanders come into the game. I think Arthur is going to be a secondary and him with Huo is going to pop off. However, the Nevsky Arthur is a very close second, right? And you could make the argument that the debuff on Nevsky's active skill is still extremely valuable, so much so that I don't think it's worth him like benching Nevsky for Huo or like going all in on Huo when he's got the Nevsky already. Remember, his legendary commander sculptures are very limited, his gems are very limited, he's free to play. So like the bump up from Nevsky Arthur to Huo Arthur, is Huo Arthur better? Probably, but like it's not such an insane upgrade that I'm gonna tell him to do that, right? So what I would say is keep his Nevsky, and he's going to get King Arthur. Now who is he going to get rid of for his King Arthur? The answer is going to be, of course, Genghis Khan. Okay, so what he's going to do is he's going to unlock King Arthur for free from the event. We have the King's Trials event here. Okay, now for me, I have Siege picked because I don't need King Arthur, but most players are going to be getting King Arthur from this event, and in order to unlock him, you're going to have to do all 9 of these quests here, most of which are very easy, and the one where you spend gems is going to be nice because he's going to be spending the gems on the tickets anyway, but he's going to need to use some speed ups, which he has. Increasing his power is going to be quite easy. 50 alliance tech donations, that's fine. All he's really gonna have to do is log in every day for 5 days, right? So he's gonna have to start today if he wants to do that, but he can get King Arthur for free from this event. Then he's gonna bring him up to level 10, unlock all 4 stars, right, like I showed earlier in the video, and then once you have a 1-1-1-1 King Arthur, you're gonna swap it for his Genghis Khan, which is expertise, and that should cost him 72 tickets. So there we go, we've converted a useless commander into literally one of the best commanders in the entire game. That is a Giga Chad. Okay, literally Giga Chad. Pair him with your Nevsky, slap all of that Zhang Yu gear on him, to be honest with you. Okay, that's you're gonna rock all this Zhang Yu gear. Just throw that on your Nevsky, get rid of this purple piece here and put your horn, the horn that you already have on Nevsky, leave that there, okay, and slap it right here and you're good to go. He has no legendary weapons, so we'll just keep that. Also move this piece, move Navarro's control here, and basically take all of this, put this on Nevsky, swap this for the Horn of Fury, swap this for your Navarro's control, and boom, you've got yourself a very, very good pairing with Nevsky with King Arthur. Okay, honestly, that's gonna be like almost meta. He just needs armaments, of course, right? But besides that, like that, he's golden. Like that's an insanely good pairing to be just coming back with for free. Like hello, that's insane. And that's why this event is so popular among so many people. It's because like accounts like this that are, he hasn't played for 3 years, he can be instantly meta almost once he gets his hands on some armaments, right? Crazy, right? Crazy. The second swap is the part that's a little bit harder, right? First of all, he's going to need to do the 36 ticket swap, which means he's going to need enough legendary commander sculptures in a commander to get them to 5111, and that could be a bit challenging for him because at the time of recording this, he needs to unlock commanders to swap to, right? That's the biggest thing with this commander swap event is you actually need to have unlocked the commander, right? You can only select commanders that you have already recruited. That's literally one of the requirements here. And so if we come in here and we look at what commanders would be feasible for him to get, unfortunately Ragnar Prime is not here, which is very bizarre because that would be like my #1 recommendation for him as far as getting an infantry commander. Not sure why Ragnar Prime is not here. I think that's a bit like a lot of players would want to get Ragnar Prime from this, so I don't really know what the deal is with that. Now this is my farm account, so it's not like I have Ragnar already summoned and then that's why he's not showing up, right? Like he's just literally not there, which is unfortunate. But from what I can tell, I think MrSneakyy has 2 routes that he can take here. Okay, I think the first route he could attempt to go is if he's able to grind this Gathering of Heroes event and he can unlock Liu Che and he can get enough sculptures to get him to 5111, which might be the hardest part of this entire thing because he would literally need 29 legendary commander sculptures from somewhere, either from like spending gems in the VIP shop on top of like obviously he has like this welcome back return event thing, right? So like that's a route that he could take. Karak ceremonies going on right now, although who knows if we'll get those in time. I think we will. The point is that if he's able to do that, then I think that Liu Che might be the best thing that he could grab from Gathering of Heroes. The problem is it requires 2 previous commanders to unlock, so he would have to unlock other things, right? So I would say you might want to grab like William Wallace, and then you maybe want to come in and grab like your second best choice is probably either Philip or Shajar maybe in this like top first row, right? But those are my recommendations, and then he'll have access to Liu Che, and then he'll have to get Liu Che as well. So he would basically have to get 3 commanders from this event, right? And 10 for CPO Prime is wild, like that's nuts, right? But anyway, he could get the Liu Che and he could then pair with his 5511 CPO Prime, and in order to swap for him, I think we get rid of the Saladin, right? The Saladin is fully expertised. Saladin is quite far removed from the meta these days, so I don't think that he's, you know, as good as Saladin is, he's solid, but I just don't see, like, out of all the commanders that he has, this seems like one that he's going to use, or it's going to be used the least likely, right? Now you could look at his Martel and things like that and say, well, you know, Martel's almost expertised and he's a gold key commander, but like, you know, even if you get a 5552 Liu Che, then you still need over 200 legendary commander sculptures to finish it off, right? Which is very expensive. And so like I would rather, you know, I don't think he's going to use Martel in the field, but I also don't think he's going to use Saladin either, so you might as well just get rid of Saladin, and that's a fully expertise commander. That'll get him a fully expertise Liu Che if he can get him to 5111, and then boom, you're good to go. Then you just do the Nevsky with King Arthur, right? And you do the CPO Prime primary with Liu Che secondary, and then boom, you've got a solid pairing for both. Now the problem with that is that if you remember, his infantry gear wasn't really that good, to be honest with you. So as much as I want him to have one of each troop type, it might not make the most sense. So, and also his CPO Prime is only a 5511. It's not like he's 5551 or expertise or anything like that. So I think the second route that MrSneakyy can go is right here, his Joan of Arc Prime. I think that this could be the easiest way that he can get 2 marches on the field. Now I don't know what his Joan of Arc is. I don't know if it's 1111 or 5511 or something along those lines, but since he already has Joan, he doesn't have to worry about the Gathering of Heroes event or anything like that. And I mean, he could literally just swap his Saladin for Joan of Arc, get an expertise Joan and an expertise King Arthur, and then he can run his Nevsky with his William, which remember is already 5551. I don't even know where my William is anymore. Here he is. He could run his William 5551 behind his Nevsky, and then he could put his Joan of Arc as primary with the King Arthur secondary. I know some players have been testing that out. It's double AoE. I don't think it's better than the Huo Arthur, but we'll have to wait and see with actual open field testing. But I think Joan Arthur is probably a fine combination. And remember, he already has 2 sets of cavalry gear that are usable, so right out of the gate he'll be able to run at least the 2 calves, and then he'll have his 5511 CPO, and he can pair that with his expertise Honda Tadakatsu, which is definitely a little bit outdated these days, but it's really like the best that he has to pair it with, right? He could do the the expertise Honda behind him, or he does have a 5511 Mehmed, which he can grab the museum relic for. That's another route that he could go. And again, I would love if I could get him on an Archer March, but he just doesn't have gear. Like, there's just no point in it, right? There's no point there. So that's that. The third route that he could go here would be a little bit easier than the Liu Che route, but it would be a bit more controversial, and that would be grabbing William Wallace from the return event, right? Because he's one of the commanders that you don't need to unlock prerequisites for. He's very easy to get. He's one of the first ones. You just grab him and you're good to go. He grabs William Wallace, he puts him in front of his CPO prime, and then you have an expertise William Wallace in exchange for his Saladin, right? And then you have a 5511 CPO behind him, and then you're golden, right? You do that. It's a little bit of an off meta weird pairing. It's not really what people run, but they're both decent in their own right. And then you just run the Nevsky with the Arthur. Again, it would be suboptimal gear though for the William Wallace. The last thing that I was thinking too is he is able to get Huo from the Gathering of Heroes event, and the problem with that is that it is still it's similar to Liu Che in that it's not a top tier unlock. It's actually a second tier unlock, which means he has to unlock 2 commanders before it, right? So if he can get his hands on Huo, then he can bring him to 5111 if he's able to do that, and he can swap his expertise Saladin for a 5111 Huo, just flip him around, right? Then he'll have an expertise Huo and an expertise King Arthur. He can pair those together, and then he would have the expertise Nevsky that he already has, and he can either pair that with his 5551 William or whatever his Joan is. I don't know what his Joan is. He doesn't show in the video. If it's 5515, then beautiful. If not, then whatever, but he could just use the William until it gets there. That would be probably the best route in terms of what his gear is already at, again assuming he's able to get the 5111 Huo. If not, I think he's going to be stuck going for either the William Wallace expertise or the Joan of Arc expertise, and he'll just have to go from there. But either way, you know, he's gonna leave this event with one like actual meta pairing in the form of Nevsky Arthur or Huo Arthur, which is insane, right? And he'll have a second pair that is like meta adjacent, whether that's going to be, you know, the Nevsky William, or it's going to be the William Wallace with CPO prime, something along those lines, right? These are all things that he can do given an account that's literally not been logged in for years, and he would be able to do them probably free to play depending on how many legendary commander sculptures he can get during the 5 days that this event is around. So hopefully me reviewing his account has given you, this literally just popped up while I'm filming, that's really cool. Okay, so you know, hopefully me reviewing his account gives you guys an idea as to how I would be thinking about this if I was a returning player, a free-to-play player, and I was trying to take advantage of this event. And I think if you're returning and you have more than 21 sculptures like he has, then you might be in an even better position, right? Especially if you have armaments, like you can get your account into a really good spot. Okay, I think the 2 best pairings you could go for during this event would be something like Huo with Arthur or Nevsky with Arthur, and then getting your hands on Liu Che with William Wallace, or getting your hands on Zhu Liang with Herman Prime if you have the equipment to do so, right? I don't even know where my Herman Prime is. Oh, here he is. He's right here. If you have the equipment for this would be great, right? But unfortunately we avoided archers in this video because he doesn't have any gear for it, so it would be pointless to get commanders with no gear. Anyway guys, that's pretty much going to do it for this video. This video was actually a little bit longer than I thought it would be, but I wanted to just give you guys an update as to, you know, the cost of the swap event and how you're able to do 2 swaps as a 1 100% free to play player, so make sure you screenshot this if you need this information. Of course, if you made it to the end of this video, drop a thumbs up on it. It really helps out the channel a ton. It helps get this video out into the YouTube algorithm so other Rise of Kingdoms players might see it, and consider subscribing down below if you want more Rise of Kingdoms content, and click the bell to be notified the next time I upload a Rise of Kingdoms video. Make sure you check out MrSneakyy. He's also going to be linked in the description below if you're interested in his content over there. Who knows, maybe he comes back to Rise of Kingdoms as a result of this event and this video. So go ahead and sub to him over there, drop a like on his latest videos, and comment down below who you got from the legendary swap event. And with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Omniarch. I will talk to you guys again soon. Peace.